much for being here. It's really great to co-organize.
You can give the microphone. Could you make a short summary for us? You just come back from Rongjiang, so how do you feel about Rongjiang?
The most obvious thing was that when we were driving to Rongjiang from the airport, you go through a number of small tunnels. So the local administration has built roads that go through the mountain, and they're very well made roads. So this means that even though it's quite a remote area and that the population is not so large, the regional administration has built really nice tunnels in many parts of the global south. The infrastructure for a pretty rural area was very impressive, the high-speed rail and so on. Secondly, this summer, Rongjiang faced a terrible flood. Within hours, the People's Liberation Army and others came in there. And as soon as the water started to recede, they cleaned the place up. In 4 days, some shops were back open. In 28 days, the football field had a football match. I mean, it is incredible how well organized the authorities are, the state is, the role of the People's Liberation Army and so on was pretty impressive. And the people, just some months after the flood, weren't defeated by the flood. You know, they didn't say, oh, it was so hard. They just said, look at my shop, it's amazing. And they said, look how high the water was. Not 10 years ago, not 15 years ago, just a few months ago. That really impressed me. Well, I have been to many of parts of rural China over the years. And I think the most impressive thing, obviously, is the confidence of the people. The Chinese Revolution created democracy in the countryside. In places like India, in other parts of Asia where there hasn't been a revolution, where there's not been a change of the culture in the countryside, you don't see the confidence of the people. They still can be defeated by nature, or they can be defeated by the fact that, you know, their product is not growing and so on.
So I think you've mentioned actually the Global South is not only a geographical term. So could you elaborate your understanding about the Global South?
Right. I mean, it's interesting because the concept Global South is pretty recent. You know, it's getting popularity now as a consequence of the fact that lots of countries in Asia, Africa, Latin America don't want to accept what the West is saying about Ukraine, or what the West is saying about China, or what the West is saying about Palestine. They just don't want to accept it. So this is what we call the new mood in the Global South. And because there's this new mood, people are saying, what's the Global South? In fact, the North is countries that were beneficiaries of colonialism and continue to benefit from the colonial heritage. And the South are countries that want to overcome colonialism. It's countries like China, because China also suffered a century of humiliation. It's about countries like China, like India, like Tanzania, that want to create a world where their people can live in dignity. So in that sense, the Global South is not just about inequality, countries that are poor, but it's about countries that want to have a dignified world for everybody. The West has very strong control over most of the Global South countries. The West is pursuing relentlessly a path of absolutely unregulated capitalism and allowing its capitalists, its billionaires, to develop enormous wealth, you know, personal wealth. They're not paying taxes, they are putting way too much of their resources into the military and so on. But at the same time, they continue to have power and control over international institutions like the International Monetary Fund, World Bank and so on. They control these institutions, yeah? Even though they are weakening in a sense. And as they weaken, they are trying to use their control over these institutions to drive other countries to obey them further and so on. I mean, when you say the center of gravity has moved, that's true. Growth rates in Asia in particular are much higher than anywhere else in the world. That's true. But it doesn't mean that these countries, our countries, are not still delivering vast amounts of our resources to the West. You know, the drain of wealth from Asia to the West is being calculated. It's in the hundreds of billions of US dollars.
So do you think China's innovations and experiences can benefit some global South countries? Actually, I think DeepSeek focuses on the low cost and the open platform. So is it useful or helpful for the South global countries for future AI development?
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you're going to have any technology that is able to be low cost to deliver and is able to be low energy intensive, that is an enormous benefit to poorer people. As I say, we're going to have to build electricity grids. We're going to have to get people computers. Then we're going to have to train them. In Rongjiang, I visited a very remote mountain town where they are running AI workshops for kids in this town, in the community center. Amazing, made me want to cry.
Okay, so finally, let's come back to this year's academic forum. So, in your view, what's the significance of preventing the resurgence of neo-fascism and defending a fair post-war world order?
Fascism is a terrible political ideology. It's basically colonialism. We shouldn't even be asking, why is fascism a danger? It's a danger because it wants most people's dignity to be lowered and lessened. So we need to not allow fascism to dominate the world. We don't want to allow colonialism and the colonial mindset to dominate the world. At the same time, we want to recognize that we have other ways that we want to live. We want to live as social human beings who treat each other with a sense of honor and dignity and pride in each other, and confidence and so on. We want to build a socialist society. That is the antithesis of fascism. It's the antithesis of the colonial mindset. That's what we're fighting. We have to first restore the past so people understand that it was the Soviets, it was the Chinese communists, Chinese patriots that actually defeated Nazism. They sacrificed themselves to end humiliation, to end a world of indignified hierarchy. They fought for that. We have to recognize their fight and fight to advance their goals and vision.
Yes.
Okay.
I can share the link
Okay, yes.
with you.
Yes.
Yeah.